Last season, if you took all the starting 11s in the Premier League and got the average age of each team, Crystal Palace were top. Crystal Palace had the oldest team in the Premier League last season. This season, it's going to be completely different. They were somewhat the retirement home for Premier League players. 8 players over the age of 30 in last season's squad. Most of them gone now. Gary Cahill, gone. Andros Townsend, gone. Patrick Van Aanholt, gone. They've had a bit of a clear out, including the manager. The manager's retired as well. Even he was at a retirement home at Crystal Palace. But what was the retirement home for Premier League players last season at Selhurst Park is now the playground for young, exciting talent. Everything's changing. The philosophy at Crystal Palace is changing. What was, let's just get by for another season, let's just stay in the Premier League one more year. But that short-term plan would be repeated season upon season. And it was expensive. In the last few years, while Crystal Palace have been top for the age of the squad, they've also been in the top 10 for wages, the big wage bill they had. 5th for net spend over the last few years as well. It cost them money to have an old squad just to stay in the Premier League. And I've always wondered why it's enough. Not for the fan base. I'm not saying the Crystal Palace fans accept that. But any Premier League club, any club that's in the Premier League, why should keeping your head above water be adequate? Why not strive for success? Now, success can be measured in various ways. For some, it's trophies. Manchester City's success is, of course, measured in silverware. It can also be other forms, though. It could be football, like Brighton. Not wanting to mention Brighton in a Crystal Palace video, but they play pretty football. That it can be considered a success, the way they play football. It can be the emergence of young talent, the development of young talent. It could be your academy. Crystal Palace has been somewhat throttled, really. It's all been short term. I've never been a big fan of it, but I like what they're doing this summer. It's not even this summer, it started a year ago. A year ago they got their Category 1 academy status, which is a big thing in football. It's massive. Huge success for Crystal Palace to get that. They also took the development coach from PSG as well. This is something that they're putting in. They're building the foundations now for the future of Crystal Palace, for a different team, for a different Selhurst Park. And they needed to do something else. That wasn't enough. But what they're doing this summer may very well be the first floor of the building being complete. Now, they've taken a risk with the manager, but we'll get on to that in just a second, because it's hard not to be impressed by what Crystal Palace have done in the transfer window this summer. Andersen in particular is a signing that in the Premier League was superb for Fulham. Yes, he got relegated, but he was still a standout player for them last season. Bringing in Elise from Reading, one of the best players in the Championship. Not for the first time, 2 summers in the bounce now, they've gone into the Championship and picked out one of, if not the best player of that campaign. Eberechi Eze joining 12 months ago as well. A wonderful footballer, and it's a shame that he's going to miss the start of the season with his injury, because what a talent he is and what a talent he's going to be. And you did wonder, and you'd be forgiven a year ago for thinking that it was almost a one-off from Crystal Palace, bringing in Eze, bringing in Nathan Ferguson, who we've not seen enough of either due to injury as well. You'd have been forgiven for thinking Palace would stick with the same thing that's allowed them to stay in the Premier League year after year, going after players at the wrong end of their Premier League career, paying big wages for big names, big household names in the Premier League football, but not receiving the big performances enough. But this summer they've stuck to what they'd done a year ago. While they got in Elise, they got in Andersen, Gallagher on loan. Everyone knows how much I like Sam Gallagher. To get him in on loan is a fantastic signing for Crystal Palace as well. Then of course they got in another performer from the Championship in Marc Guehi as well. What signing he can be in centre back. £20 million they paid for him. 35-40 million they're paying for their new centre back pairing next season. This is exciting. Now it comes with it risks. Okay, there is a risk here. It wouldn't surprise me if Crystal Palace got relegated next season. But it wouldn't surprise me if for once they match their wage bill. If for once they match their net spend over the last few seasons. That is finishing in the top 10 of the Premier League. Because the squad they're assembling now has potential. But it's also got ability. The manager thought is a risk. Patrick Vieira is a risk. It's only his second job in European football. His first one didn't quite work out, but I don't think it was that bad. His football is a little bit passive. There is a pun in there. It can be a bit sideways at times, but over the last few seasons when I've watched Crystal Palace, with Roy Hodgson, which was very safe. The football at times, I found it tough to watch, but I'm not a Crystal Palace fan. Roy Hodgson was not there to entertain me. But as a neutral, I found it tough to watch. They would try and grind out 1-0 wins, and when it worked, you have to say Roy Hodgson done his job, which was get the win, stay in the Premier League. But when it didn't work, when they lost, it wasn't good enough. 8 defeats at Selhurst Park last season is not good enough. Now they've got the fans back, and the fans... Some Premier League clubs have missed the fans back, some more than others. I do think if the fans were there last season, would Sheffield United have performed as badly as they did? I'm not so sure. And Crystal Palace is one of those clubs, I think they will have missed their fan base, but next season they can really benefit from it. That fans made a fantastic noise at Selhurst Park watching Roy Hodgson football. Now, I'm not trying to disregard Roy Hodgson football too much, but it wasn't for me. I found it boring. Next season, Vieira with a bit more of an aggressive attacking style, wanting to entertain the fans a little bit more, bringing in entertainers to the club. There must be an excitement among the Crystal Palace fan base, and why shouldn't there be? They deserve to be excited. They deserve to have something to look forward to. And with fans going back this season, that is maybe exactly what they've got. Something. They've almost got an unknowing. With Roy Hodgson, you knew what you were going to get. You were going to get the 4-4-2. They were going to be hard to break down. They were probably not going to score more than 2 goals in the game. They were going to just get enough points to stay in the Premier League. They were going to finish somewhere between 12 and 15. They were going to finish in there. Not far enough away from relegation, but not really threatening the European spaces. That's what you were going to get Roy Hodgson. In short term, that's fine. It looks after the money. It keeps you in the Premier League. But now, this is where the risk comes in, because this squad's got potential. And if Vieira doesn't work out, that's okay, because the next manager will still have the same squad with the same potential. And this is where they're one of the favourites for the drop now. The bookies are labelling them up as one of the favourites for the drop, and I can understand why. Like I said, Patrick Vieira has got an okay CV. It's not the best, it's not the worst. The players they're bringing in, while they're exciting, while they're young, they're also inexperienced. Can they do it in the Premier League? We don't know. We don't know if Elise can do it in the Premier League. We don't know if Marc Guehi can do it in the Premier League. We don't know if Patrick Vieira can do it in the Premier League. But we do know that Gallagher can. We do know that Andersen can. We know Eze can. And more importantly, possibly, we know Wilfried Zaha can. For quite a while now, Zaha's almost been too good for Palace. I don't think Palace fans will mind me saying that, because he has been too good for Crystal Palace. Just like Declan Rice is too good for my team West Ham at the minute. Jack Grealish too good for Aston Villa. That's alright, and that's a good thing. It's a case of them, how do you keep them, and if not, how do you then sell them and get the best out of what you get, which is what I covered last night talking about Jack Grealish's move. Zaha's still at Crystal Palace, and for the first time in a long time, I'm looking at that Palace team and I'm thinking, they've finally got a squad that's got the potential to match Zaha's ability. It's exciting, it is risky, but their favourites tag, I'll just go back to that for a minute, being made favourites to go down for the relegation, I think actually might benefit Crystal Palace. There is no pressure on Crystal Palace next season now. The expectation is stay in the Premier League. If you can stay in the Premier League if you can do that short term thing, you can keep planning for one season, which is stay in the Premier League, job done, Patrick Vieira, as far as it's concerned. As far as the neutrals, the media is concerned, Crystal Palace, all they have to do is stay in the Premier League to have had a good season, just like Burnley. Stay in there, you've done well. But what this does do, it takes the pressure off. And if they only finish 15th, that's job done. But what's more important, while the wage bill can be measured, while net spend can be measured, what can't be measured is the experience of this young team to get a year in the Premier League. You don't imagine the following season they'd be even better then. And more importantly, it's another year where Crystal Palace have got their level 1 category for their academy. Another year where the PSG coach has got another year at Crystal Palace bringing in players to develop at that club. Another year where they're scouting players in the Championship, youngsters around European football that they can add to their squad. It's exciting for Crystal Palace. It's risky. But Crystal Palace, it's a new Crystal Palace. It's no longer the retirement home. This is the playground for young players next season. And I, for one, I'm quite looking forward to watching it actually. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, they could come 18th, they could come 8th, and anywhere in between. And I'm looking forward to finding out. But I like it.